Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network channel on YouTube. I'm your host, Mr. Prime Real Estate, Ric Davis.
And I'm your host, the Texas Real Estate King, LarryWBrooks.
Every week, the King and I will provide you exclusive access to our network of lenders, investors, and real estate professionals from both the commercial and residential real estate sectors.
Now, are you millionaire minded? Or maybe you're a millionaire in the making? Make sure that you subscribe so you can get connected to the network. And always remember, the Prime Real Estate Network, where millionaires are in the making.
Create wealth for generations.
What's up, Prime Real Estate Network listeners? It's your man, Larry W. Brooks, a.k.a. the Texas Real Estate King. Hey, when you get a moment, go ahead and go over to shoplwb.com. You can see the Pure Hustle merchandise that we had over there, some of our newer items that we have in stock, and of course, I got all the books that I've authored. I'd love for your support. You have a great day.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network Live. I'm your host, Ric Davis. If you don't follow me on social media, I invite you to do so at Prime Real Estate Ric. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in residential or commercial real estate anywhere in our great state of Texas, you can reach me directly on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Ric. As always, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you this week. And I want to give a huge shout out to everyone that's checking us out live on YouTube and Facebook. Get involved in today's show. Leave myself or this week's guest a relevant real estate question in the comments section. And you never know, we may very well be able to get your question answered on today's episode of the Prime Real Estate Network Live. I want to thank everyone over at the Brooks and Davis Education and Training Institute at 2600 South Loop West, Suite 310 here in Houston, Texas. I invite everyone in the area, stop by, get all of the information that you need to create generational wealth and begin the investment journey here in Texas real estate. Man, we have a great episode planned for you all. I want to give a huge shout out to the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. Larry W. Brooks. He'll be back on the Prime Real Estate Network Live this time next Thursday. Huge shout out to him, man. He has some great things going, working with the National Association of Realtors here in the city of Houston, man. So big, huge shout out to Mr. Larry W. Brooks. I want to give you guys a little background on this week's guest. We were really excited when she was able to commit to coming on this week's show for the interview. She is not only a highly successful mortgage broker, she is a foremost expert in finances and residential home lending. I want to thank her so much for sitting in on the Prime Real Estate Network Live. And I'd like to introduce to you all the owner, CEO of Envision Home Lending. You may know her as the Lone Lioness. I would like to introduce to you all Ms. Rhonda Hutchinson. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you for having me. I think I'm more excited to be here than you are to have me. So thank you for that.
Hey, look, this has been a long time coming, man. I've been a fan of not just you, but your company, your guys' mission, and how you have a goal of helping those in the real estate sphere create generational wealth. So thank you so much for sitting in. First question, Rhonda, for the members of our audience that are meeting you for the first time, can you talk a little bit about your organization, when you founded your company, and what motivated you to build Envision Home Lending?
Oh, wow. Thank you for asking me that. Believe it or not, I've been in the industry for, almost 8 years now. And actually, Envision Home Lending was envisioned about a year ago. And you said, oh my gosh, you're just a year old. Yes, I'm just a year old, but we are a lender, a brokerage, and where we help our families and our strategic partners envision more through lending. And how I came up with that name, and I'm gonna be real quick on that, how I came up with it, is how I saw a vision. I envisioned something different than any other mortgage brokerage. Of course, being a mortgage brokerage, you can do anything that any other mortgage broker can do. Now, lenders were brokers, but I wanted to be different. I wanted to help our strategic partners through high tech and high touch, which not just our state of the art technology, but also communicating, making sure that we're giving special care to both our customers and our strategic partners, especially our strategic partners, because they are the forefront of what we do. And the client is only a byproduct. And in June of 2024, Envision was born through a vision. And now today I have over 12 team members, which is 10 actually brokers and 2 back office in a very short period of time. And we hold the same vision, and that's to be able to cater to our strategic partners.
Thank you so much for sharing, because the great thing about having you on, outside of your great energy and disposition, is the fact that you're so experienced and an expert in not only lending, but how that works as far as residential investment and creating generational wealth.
Absolutely.
On my side of the desk as the realtor, I've always done everything intentionally to build long-term relationships with my clients.
Yes.
And one of the biggest pieces of advice that I always tell them is to build that same relationship with their lender.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've learned through experience is that a lot of times, especially on the buyer side, they interact with the lender when they're buying the home. And then once they close, that communication tends to go dormant until there's another need. But you and I both know, as professionals, we can see behind the curtain. And when you're trying to create generational wealth, timing is everything.
Crucial.
And when it comes to timing and finance, no one has their finger on the pulse like a mortgage lender of your expertise. So could you just talk to my past buyer clients that I'm working with, and those that I'm going to be working with in the future? Could you give us an overarching idea of the lending market as you see it today? What's going on, and how is that affecting people's ability to buy, sell, or invest in real estate?
Okay. It's like, hey, one thing we talk about interest rates. We're looking through like a microscope, trying to figure out when those interest rates are going to go down. And we already know that the market is unpredictable, right? But now and I just have to be point blank and honest. Now is the time to purchase, and not trying to steer you into purchase, but because in reality it is, because we already know that when there's a need to be able to buy, then this is the time to buy. And I'm going to tell you, even though the interest rates may be just slightly higher, but we already know what happens when interest rates go down, right? Mm-hmm. Then it becomes a seller's market. And right now it's a buyer's market. Yes. And we're able to get those sellers concessions that we may not be able to obtain if the market and the interest rates decrease. So now is the perfect time, because then we already know what happens when it's supply and demand. Right. We already know you're going to pay more for that home. So you're going to pay it more now in a little bit of interest rate, or a little later when the interest rate decrease in the sales price, because the sales price is going to go up. You're going to overpay. And home buyers, this is the perfect time for home buyers to get on board when it comes to purchasing, as well as investors. Now we have a lot going on with the is that called a big ugly bill? I probably should have said that. Oh, goodness, my light came on, the big ugly bill. But there have some things that's in place for investors that's going to benefit investors. So now is just pretty much a perfect time for buyers and investors to purchase. Now,
Rhonda, you brought up a great point, and I want to speak and give you opportunity to speak specifically to that investor community. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times that investor community can be underserved because we have so much focus on the residential buying community, making sure that people have adequate housing, how they can make sure they can set up the future for their family, loved ones, children, that sometimes those that are more in the investor space, mm-hmm. they don't necessarily get that one-on-one communication, that hand-holding that residential buyers sometimes get from professionals like me and yourself. So could you speak specifically about what Envision Home Lending does for the investor community that you work with? How can investors come to you, work with you, and what type of things are possible by reaching out and giving Ms. Rhonda a call if you're an investor?
Oh wow. I'm gonna just tell you that that's kind of dear to my heart because I have an executive partner, Mr. Lance Wilmore, which is an investment commercial guru. But one of the products that we do offer, and I know if you may or may not be familiar with it, is the DSCR. It's an investment property, an investment program. It's an option for investors not to use their personal finances income, but it's based totally on the value prospective rental income that comes from that property. So you don't have to worry about your tax returns. You don't have to worry about your W-2s. If you are a 1099 employee, your debt to income ratio. And it's an amazing product for those investors that are looking to purchase anything that's more than we know fourplex, and we were able to do that. And the DSCR is an opportunity that we do offer here at Envision Home Lending for those investors that want to get into the game of investing. Now, like we stated earlier, now is the time, Rick. Now is the time to make those moves now while we can.
Okay, let's dispel some myths, Miss Rhonda.
Okay. I'm ready.
I talk to friends, family. Here at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, we call them our top 50.
Okay.
These are the people that we care about, who care about us, who we want to see be successful, who we want to see create generational wealth. Mm-hmm. And some of the questions that I get on the real estate side is, well, I'm not an investor. This will be my first time. And a lot of times people want investors that are seasoned or know their way around. So Ms. Rhonda, first thing, is there a place for a first-time investor to work with Envision Home Lending? And what has it that you found most is beneficial to a first-time investor while working with you?
Knowledge. And look, what we say, we high tech and high touch is being able someone to hold your hand through the process and know that you're not alone in this process, because that's why we're here as brokers, is to make sure you don't have to understand all the rules and the guidelines and what it takes to become a first-time investor. That's what we're here for. We're making sure that you're on the straight and narrow. You have all the guidelines. You know what to prepare for even before you purchase or look for that commercial or that our investment property. We're here to hold your hand and make sure you're, number one, prepared, because preparation is key. And you need to work with someone like Envision Home Lending and our team to make sure you're prepared.
I thank you so much. I was really excited when Larry was able to gain your commitment to sit in, because I knew with someone as knowledgeable as yourself, we would be able to get questions answered from all the relevant angles and aspects of mortgage lending in today's time. And I want to give you opportunity to talk a little bit about refinancing. As soon as MSNBC, CNN, the first time they mention anything about mortgage interest dropping and they put the little, they put it on the screen and the arrows pointing down, my phone rings with all my past buyers. Rick, what about a refinance? It's now the time. Should I call somebody? So, Ms. Rhonda, you being who you are, someone with their finger on the pulse of lending and interest rates, can you give our audience some insight into refinancing, some of the things that they want to keep in mind when they are thinking about refinancing, and some little known tips that people don't know about the actual act of getting their home refinanced that you would like to make them more aware of?
Okay. Yes. Refinancing. You have to have, it's a strategic maneuver in this market right now. And the reason I say that is because those that purchase maybe 2022, 2023 refinancing, even if it's a rate term, and that means that you're not getting any cash out, you're just lowering your interest rate. There may be a challenge for that. It depends on the equity that you have in your home, right? It may be a challenge because most of those that purchase in that arena overpaid for their home, and we're seeing that their value is pretty much the same as what their mortgage balance is right now because they overpaid, right? Yeah. But those that are before then and have those interest rates are in the 6 and 7 now is a perfect time. But getting with a qualified and professional like myself and my team, running those numbers for you to see if they make sense. And that's the thing about it. It has to make sense, right? If they don't make sense, don't do it. And if you're not going to save, it's not going to be a saving. Wait until this time where you're having either more equity in your home, or the interest rate is lower, or you pay some of that debt off, even though sometimes we're looking for a refi to get some cash out. But at the end of the day, you're going to have that loan to value to be able to at least 80% LTV, which is loan to value, to be able to refinance. So if you have that, let's just know where you are. That's number one. Because if you don't know where you are, then let's help you to say, okay, this is what you need to get prepared, or maybe not right now. Either when the interest rate go down, you paid a little bit more debt, or you have more equity in your home. But for those before 2022, 21, 22, you're in great position. Those in between that, when you're paying over asking price, that may be a challenge.
And this goes back to what we talked about earlier in the interview, having an open dialogue with a lending professional like yourself. Now, your personality, people tend to gravitate towards you. So I don't expect your relationships with past clients to be the norm for everyone in the lending field. But do your past clients keep in contact with you in that form, Rhonda? Do they shoot you an email, ask you these kind of questions quarterly or maybe annually? How often are past clients empowered to reach out to members of your team after close? And is that something that you guys invite?
Yes, that's something we invite, and that's special to me. And it's because, I just tell you this, I get caught up in the weeds, and my clients really become my family. It is sometimes, it's just like, okay, Rhonda, get in your lane. You need to start talking business here now and start talking on. But I do have that. I love people, and I have that relationship with my clients. But one thing at Envision Home Lending, which we're high tech and high touch, is we want to stay in communication with our clients. We don't want to wait until they reach out to us, even though I do have my referral base is really good, because I have gained and have developed that relationship with my clients throughout the process. So they feel comfortable calling me and asking me, is it time to do this A, B, and C? Hey, I'm looking to purchase, but I'm not sure. Can you run the numbers for me? See how I look? But our job is up to the lender to stay in contact with your clients. Right? Absolutely. That's our job to do, to make sure we let them know, hey, it's not a one-time bam, ma'am, thank you, ma'am, or whatever they say. Just making sure that we stay in contact with them, and it's not a one transactional relationship, that we continue to service them throughout their financial needs when it comes to their home.
No, and I thank you so much for your transparency and candor as far as that's concerned, because that's one of the things I was looking forward to with this interview. I want to ask you this question, because this is at the risk of letting too many of our viewers in behind the curtain.
Okay.
So many members of our audience aren't just buyers, sellers, or investors, but they're also part of the real estate sphere. There's a lot of realtors, lenders, appraisers, inspectors who we've interviewed, who's a part of the Prime Real Estate Network family and check us out on a weekly basis. So for those that are already currently in the mortgage field, how are you, Ms. Rhonda, and are you open to adding to your team? Are you still out looking for the best and brightest in the lending field? If there's members of our audience that would love to talk to you and talk shop,
yes,
is that something that you guys are open to at Envision Home Lending? And what is the process for someone that's in the field to reach out to you and set up an interview?
Absolutely. We're always looking for talented brokers, lenders that's out there we'll just say lenders that's out there in the industry. But you have to have the passion to be able to help. If we're coming to Envision family, and we are family, and that's one of the things I talked about when I envision a different brokerage. It's not just one of those mundane lenders where everybody, go to work, do your job, you go. We're a family, and I want to make sure I don't know no matter how large we're going to grow, because we're growing, is that I want to keep it personal. But yes, they can reach out to us. We're looking for qualified, not necessarily new because we already know we want to make sure that we talking to everyone, but we're always looking to bring on talent and not, but you got to have the passion to serve. That's
No,
You have to have the passion to serve, and it's not all about the mighty dollar. But if they're looking, just want to talk to me or my team, anyone, they can reach me at email me at contact@envisionlender.com. And that's spelled ENVISION lender.com. So that's contact@envisionlender.com. Or they can reach me at 972-292-9813. So that's 972-292-9813. And I would love to have a conversation with you and become part of the Envision family, not just the brokerage.
absolutely. Thank you so much. And I had to get you on the record, Miss Rhonda, because as soon as this stream is over, I'm gonna get a text or a call. Oh my gosh, she was so great, and she's looking for add to the team. So
Oh, yes.
I wanted to make sure I asked you about that because these are some
Thank
of the conversations that I have behind the scenes that members of our audience aren't always privy to. And one of the great things about speaking with a owner, CEO like yourself is that sometimes when you are in the lending field, you guys are a little bit more behind the scenes. So for members of the real estate community to put a name with a face and actually engage with you and see that smile is something that I know not only would interest those who are looking to join a family in business, but some of the information that you're sharing, I'm sure, is enlightening them to want to hear more about your leadership style and how you train. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, no. Now we're going to get personal.
Oh, Lord.
Now we're going to get personal. Now, I talked to you a little bit like this before we started the show, so I don't want this to be a complete surprise, but I do think that members of our audience would benefit in learning a little bit about Miss Hutchinson's background.
Okay.
So when you think back, Rhonda, to your upbringing as your time as a young lady, were there members of your family, close inner circle, church group that were business owners, entrepreneurs? Like, who set the example? Who set you up on this path to become as successful as you are as a businesswoman?
Oh, wow. The first person I know is my dad, my late dad, Wilbert Walker. They call him Sonny the Barbecue Man. Okay.
Represent.
Let me tell you about my dad. And if you think, oh my gosh, and I have a lot of sayings that people say, girl, you got so many sayings, but they come from my dad. And when I talk about my dad, my heart just becomes full. My dad was the kind of man, he owned his own business, and and it wasn't where he owned like a shop, like a brokerage, but he always worked for himself. And one of the things that I learned, even in conversation with him, is because I'm going to tell you why, and I'm a lot like him. He don't want nobody to tell him what to do. He did not like anyone telling him what to do. And I remember one time I made the mistake of saying my boss. And he said, there's nobody your boss. There's one boss, and that's up him. So don't you ever hear me tell you say the word somebody your boss. He said, because God is the only boss that we have. But he was a hard worker. He provided, and he was a hustler. He was a barbecue man.
Yeah.
And everybody knew him. It was a small little town in Sumter, South Carolina. Yeah, I'm from that country dirt road with pigs and hogs and watermelon patches and grapevines, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. But my dad was an example of what hard work looked like. And I know that was instilled in me to work hard and I know I got my personality from him as well, because he was a hoot. He was a hoot. But then I also think about my mom. My mom she wasn't an entrepreneur, but she was always show example of what hard work looked like. And she always taught us, no matter what, that you be a lady in everything you do. And you always have integrity. And so those combinations have been instilled in me, has really brought me where I'm at today. And I can see it through my interaction of my brokerage and from what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again for your transparency. one of the true values of this particular platform that Larry and I have built is that we've had the pleasure of interviewing over 300 business owners and entrepreneurs like yourself. And you start to see common threads that kind of illustrate how success is born and made and that type of thing. So I want this to be another example to the young people in our audience, those those that are in real estate school, that may be in school for lending, that are right now thinking about creating a burgeoning career for themselves, to understand these are the things, these are the influences that put us in a position. And if you are a first generation entrepreneur, you can be like Miss Rhonda's dad and plant that seed for your son or daughter that will propel them to success in the future. So thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
One of the jokes that we have here at the office is how we host this show at midday on Thursdays. And for business owners, that's usually getaway day.
Yeah.
So if you're traveling or vacation, we always ask people to make some time for us in the most busiest time of the week. So I want to thank you so much, Queen, for being so generous with your time.
Oh,
So I have
yes.
a final question for you. For the members of our audience that have been just so captivated by this interview that they will stop at nothing to meet, greet, and interact with Ms. Rhonda Hutchinson and the Envision Home Lending team, will there be an opportunity in the near future to meet and greet Ms. Rhonda Hutchinson?
Oh yes, I stay busy. I stay on the on the run, but I'm walking in my purpose, so it's okay. And I know hadn't had a chance to mention on this platform, but I am a reverse mortgage specialist, and that's another conversation on another day when you're gonna have me back, right?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, no doubt about it. You just committed yourself, sister.
Yes, my passion is seniors and being able to educate our community. I got a book that I just released. It's called Reverse Mortgage: The 10 Myths That's Plaguing the Black Community. And I want to be able to share that. But that's why I'm kind of interacting into my next event that I do have on the 30th, which is this next Saturday. And I think it's at Church of the Disciple in I think it's in DeSoto on Cockrell. But I have that on this coming on the 30th, and that's from, I'm looking at my calendar, 10:30. And then in September, I'm being on a virtual as well in person at the Women in the Women Experience, Women in Leadership. That's going to be 4 or 5 day event that's coming up the 17th through the 21st. And I want women in leadership to go and follow me, and I'll have it on my Facebook. Please follow me I'm the Lone Lioness on everything. Yes. And be a part of the experience. It's going to be some phenomenal speakers. And then also, let's see what's coming up next. Got a podcast that's coming up, Reverse Mortgage, and that's going to be coming up in August. So just follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. But follow me on all the social media, and now I'm on YouTube. But follow me on social media. Keep up with me, because I'm gonna tell you, it's a hard road to follow if you want to follow me and keep up with me. But you can find me on social media, because I'm around town spreading the knowledge on lending as well as reverse mortgage.
And I want to, and I know I told you that was the final question, but I want to give you an opportunity to leave our audience with something to think about. When you think about Ms. Rhonda Hutchinson, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if you could speak to your younger self, are there any words of motivation, inspiration that you feel would propel someone who's in that same position that you were in? I want to give our audience an idea of how you've evolved. A lot of times when people meet you, they may meet you today on our platform, they may meet you tomorrow at the bank, but they don't understand how you've evolved and blossomed into the business leader. So are there a tip, some advice that you could share with someone who is like a 15-year younger version of Miss Rhonda Hutchinson?
Wow. I'm going to say faith, stand on faith, and do it scared. I'm going to tell you that, and I'm going to do the shorter version that I can, moving from a small from Memphis, that's where I was, to DFW, which is Dallas Fort Worth. Coming here pretty much knowing nobody, transferred from a job, left, saw a vision because I saw the writing on the wall that there were going to be a corporate change, purchasing my third home here in the McKinney area. Everybody else was playing, but I was getting ready for plan B. And I didn't know what plan B was, but I knew that God had me no matter what that was. And I stepped out on faith, leaving corporate after 30 years of corporate. I've been in accounting for 30 years, finance, leaving corporate America, going through a divorce, leaving corporate America, moving to a state that only knew one person, and now leaving a lending institution, which I was with a lender, and stepping out as a broker with my own. It was true faith in God, faith in believing that he would not leave me no matter what, that he's always been there and showed out to me, and I never went without. So I always knew that he was going to take care of me, and doing it scared when I didn't know what was going to be tomorrow, but I knew he had me and he was holding my hand, and he wasn't going to let me fail, because I look back on my life from a child to a teenager to an adult. He never had let me down. So why should I think he's going to let me down now? He's always been with me. So I stand on faith, and I'm doing it scared.
Thank you so much. That's such an inspirational story. Thank you so much. Your candor. You've even been more transparent than I thought you would be. I hope every member of our audience are taking these gems, adding it to their tool belt, and putting it in a position where they can actually utilize these tips to not only build their career, build generational wealth. And if you are a professional lender, reach out to Ms. Rhonda, schedule an opportunity to talk to her, man, because we're always looking for the best and brightest to partner with, collaborate with, and work with. So please, Ms. Hutchinson, as we move forward, keep myself, Larry, and our show in the top of mind, because we would love to have you back again and share any updates as far as anything you guys have going on in Envision Home Lending. So thank you so much, Queen, for your time. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. So talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Man, that was an outstanding interview. Big, huge shout out to the team over at Envision Home Lending for allowing us to interview their fearless leader, Ms. Rhonda Hutchinson. Huge shout out to the team over at Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. Shout out to our super producer, Jay Joseph. And last but not least, shout out to the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. LarryWBrooks. This was a great show. I urge everyone in the audience to like, share, subscribe to our Prime Real Estate Network channel on YouTube. You can follow me on all my social media platforms at Prime Real Estate Ric. And if you want to talk real estate, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, you can get on my personal calendar at the website and address you see on the screen at calendly.com/Prime Real Estate Ric. I'm open. Look forward to speaking with you. And until next Thursday, when it's time for Prime Real Estate Network Live, I hope everyone in the audience can please be safe and be blessed.